Up to a local Home Depot out here, suspected illegal immigrants started taking off running in all different directions as soon as they saw federal agents. That led to several different foot pursuits as agents were chasing them down and arresting them. We ultimately saw about 10 different people being arrested by those federal agents, and Border Patrol telling us that records checks came back on one of the guys already, showing that he is an aggravated felon with a prior conviction for fentanyl trafficking. Then take a look at this.
So if you're in the country legally and lawfully, you're not going to be running as fast as you can when you see La Migra show up. Right off the get-go, with felony this and criminal that. This is the famed Sacramento evil video that's been going around from Bill Malusian and those who just love to promote criminals are trying to say how evil the ICE agents are.
Video. This was a guy who said he was a U.S. citizen fleeing from federal agents after they say he slashed the tires on one of their vehicles. You'll see him running away. He then gets taken to the ground and he tangles with agents while he's on the ground. It appeared he kind of lunged at one of them, and you'll see the aftermath of that. Take a look at this picture right here. Those federal agents ended up macing that man in.
When the cops have to chase you down, you're going to get a beating. I don't care how. That was true 10 years ago. That was true 40, 50 years ago. Man, I can tell you, don't run from the cops. Not in your best interest. This was a jumper in the city of Riverside, or attempting to jump off a bridge. Here's the response from the Riverside Fire Department. They grabbed the individual and got them back to safety. So good job, Riverside Fire Department. It's a tough job. You got to be very strong, not only to lift people over the side to keep them from jumping off a bridge, but to do most firefighting activities. We're going to tell it the way it is. That's why we call them firemen, because that's who most of them are. Very sad story today that everybody woke up to. 3 LA County Sheriff's deputies lost their life in an explosion at their training center by the 10 and 710 freeways. Here's the KCAL News Report.
But we know 3 LA County Sheriff's deputies, they were killed. This was an explosion that happened in Monterey Park. This is the LASD training facility. And we also have KCAL News reporter Rick.
That facility there, as they said, in Monterey Park, there by the 10 and 710, you know, real close to downtown LA. And it's a multi-use facility, I guess you should say. Fire department, sheriff's department, they're on site. I think they even got a fire department or a station there. So the response was quick, but we shall see how or why that comes up. But tragedy today in Los Angeles, 3 LA County Sheriff's deputies lost their life in an explosion that happened at their training center. Lindsay Schneider. That name might not ring a bell to a lot of you, but I'm pretty sure In-N-Out Burger will. She's basically, if she's not the whole owner, she's the sole, or she's very majority owner. She's the only surviving member of the Harry Schneider family, which was one of the co-founders of In-N-Out Burger. And she's a billionaireess, can live anywhere. Probably she could live in the French Riviera. She could jet set. She could probably not do anything. SoCal, born and raised, is leaving Southern California for Franklin, Tennessee.
We're building an office in Franklin, so I'm actually moving out there. And
Wow, how do you feel about that? You're like a California girl through and through, right?
Yeah, I mean, I really loved living in Northern California, and I'm so thankful that I grew up there because I think it changed a lot of who I am today. You know, I think I would be different if I was raised in Southern California. But there, like you said, there's a lot of great things about California, but raising a family is not easy here. Doing business is not easy here. No, the bulk of our stores are still going to be here in California.
Well, at least they're not moving the stores from California. But Lindsay Snyder, the sole owner of In-N-Out Burger, is saying adios. Because why? You can't raise a family here. It's very difficult. Well, not that you can't. It's not the optimum place, let's put it nicely, to raise a family. It is definitely toxic to do business in California. And she's saying adios again. She can live anywhere in the freaking world. She could live in Bel Air, Beverly Hills, San Francisco, wherever, New York City, French Riviera, failing California because of the mess we have made in the state. Donald J. Trump, El Presidente of the United States, Intelligence Director, the great Tulsi Gabbard, have declassified and released documents that show Obama administration, which means Barack Hussein Obama, manufactured intel to create the 2016 Russia interference narrative, documents show. That dump came today. We have said it 20 million times. This guy right here with a big assist from his vice president and secretary of state, which was slow Joe Biden and Hillary the Witch Clinton, who was running for president against Trump in 2016. They were the ones behind it. Comey and Strunk and Page and the dossier and all that were done by directives starting from this guy. On top of that, Donald J. said he's going is asking for the docs to be freed based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein. I've asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval. The scam perpetrated by the Democrats should end right now. Just like the whole Russiagate deal. And the whole enchilada. Free the documents, let's see them, let the chips fall where they may. The other story that broke about was a supposed birthday note with the nudie stick figure that supposedly Trump sent to Jeffrey Epstein 87 million years ago. Well, Trump is officially suing Dow Jones, Wall Street Journal, and Robert Murdoch, which parent companies and affiliates own the Wall Street Journal, where the story broke. That just seems, you never say never, but that seems so out of character for Donald J. And so, even if he did, that really proves nothing of that. Flash flood warnings are being issued for LA and San Bernardino counties. So be on the lookout for flash flood. And if you see the rain coming, head for higher ground. ColdPlay haven't released any new singles in years, but they created 2 new ones last night. We're going to do that. And we said yesterday, we'll pick up more of what was done on that whole deal where the CEO and the HR director were, let's say, canoodling when the kiss cam hit them at the ColdPlay concert. The reaction from the ColdPlay dude or the singer or whatever is, I have no idea who these guys are. May have heard their music, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. If they were walking down the street for me, I'd have no idea who these people were. But there's a lot of interesting tidbits to that. Robert Kennedy Jr., Health and Human Services Secretary, just said, hey, we're pulling out of all these documents and directives and that for scamdemics, vaccines, and all that other stuff. Basically, World Health Organization, the United States, under Trump and Kennedy are saying, stick it up your ass. We're not doing stupid anymore. If you want to convince the rest of the world to be idiots and subservients to you, go ahead. But we're not playing that game. Much, much more in the local scene coming up. And we'll expand some more, especially this why Lindsay Snyder and more are leaving California by the droves. There's that funky slide guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday, live 5 in the Evil FB Network, Rumble, X, YouTube, and the Roy Blecker channel. A lot of good stuff coming on. Even some local news. Gotta love those firemen who grabbed that individual off the bridge there in Riverside, avoided a nasty scene at best. There's reasons for hope, reasons for concern. Hope we're getting the documents that those who have reviewed them so far that were released by Intelligence Director of the United States of America, Tulsi Gabbard, which everybody that has reviewed them is of the opinion they are proving that Barack Hussein Obama, slow Joe Biden, and Hillary Clinton were the three that were behind the whole 2016 Russiagate. They're trying to elect Trump. What they were trying to do was elect Hillary Clinton. And they were using, not only spreading lies, which is technically, well, let's say there's a lot of legal maneuverings around that. Using the U.S. government, law enforcement assets to shape or control or pick candidates is an absolute 111% a no, 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 no. You are not supposed to do that. That is illegal. That is election interference. The only thing the government, which they don't do a good job of in many cases, is count the votes. Run the election, count the votes. Count the votes accurately. And ensure only people eligible to vote are voting. That's the only role USG should have in our elections, period. They are not allowed to advocate for positions. They are not allowed to advocate or promote or take sides for a candidate. They can't be involved in picking and choosing a candidate in any, I don't care if it's sewer cleaning commissioner or POTUS. So we're getting some positive signs in that front. Trump is finally coming to his senses and put this mealy mouth, taking an off ramps, changing lanes and directions faster than a dude driving a hot car being chased by the cops in the LA freeways. He said, release the Epstein documents. Let's get the grand jury stuff. Just get them out. Like this deal with, let's quit guessing. Speculating, insinuating. We've got them. The whole Steele dossier. Was phonier than a $3 freaking bill. People need to come to their senses. So we don't have to, we shouldn't even be dealing with this kind of stuff. But we are. But at least if we don't get to this point where we got the documents and we can say this happened and this didn't happen, and it's always been my contention, this stuff is, just because we got the documents means we can take the next step. If people do not go to jail, go and do hard time for participating in things like this, it's not going to stop. The good old Gray Bar Motel has a lot of uses, but one main one is, hey, once all these government officials, critters, and hangers-on have been doing this for God knows how long. Once one of them gets busted, they start paying the hell attention. So we're at this stage, finally, where we can at least, at a minimum, have a point where it's going to be put these guys in jail. And I don't care if it's Hussein, Hillary, Joe, the Steele dossier, which again, totally fabricated and manufactured. And when the ones that came in, the ones in the CIA and intelligence said, you got to be kidding. You can't release crap like this. We're going to look like a bunch of idiots. Hussein and the crew said, hey, go ahead and release it anyway. So with that, hopefully we'll get this. We'll get the Epstein documents out there. And we won't have to be just going on 1,000% at the time. You know, debating, and this didn't happen, and this went on. We need to get to the bottom of this. And we really need to get to the bottom of this soon, because the 26 elections are going to be on top of us in the blink of an eye. You know, really, we're going to have to start primaries here in about 6 months. About 11 months, I think June primary, so we're in July. So yeah, 11 months, we'll have our primary here in California. So it's going to behoove us, as they say, to get out there and get after it. And just like with the Epstein files, and I don't know, maybe Joe and Mika of PMSNBC, and they had their meeting with Trump after he got elected, have gotten a little religion. But he asked this, a little Jamie Raskin, which was a congressman that was up there, J6 and all this, and Trump's a crook, and Trump's doing this, and Trump's a rapist, and all that. I don't know if he exactly said that, but I believe it was insinuated. Scarborough actually asked this question.
The congressman could have gotten that from 21 to 25 when Democrats controlled the DOJ. Why? It was a crisis then. It's a crisis now. Why didn't Democrats call for it from 21 to 25?
So, I mean, you have to go back and look specifically at particular prosecutorial decisions and what was taking place in terms of the other cases. So, I don't know. We could try to reconstruct that record. But the point is
that is stuttering and misdirection. And I bet any person who specializes in reading these kinds of things would say this cat is lying 1,000% through his teeth. First, when you're stuttering and, well, I don't know, and then start talking about, oh, well, you know, that's a great question. Well, I don't know why we didn't do that. And yes, you knew exactly why you didn't do it, because you knew what it was going to uncover. Just like with the Steele dossier, and you guys yelling about J6, and Russia this and Trump's that. Precisely why you cats didn't. Wait, nothing going on over there. Next, please. Again, we're looking at one of these deals. And this is all we want. We want the truth, the facts, and the evidence. And that's what Tulsi put out today when she released the documents. You have a government that was weaponized against a political candidate for president of the frickin' United States, Donald J. Trump. It was Obama that was leading the charge. I believe there's everything that you want to see. Here's the chart. And who's at the center of it? Good old Hussein. Those orders, when you're going after your opponent or somebody who's going to replace you, those orders only come from the president. CIA director, FBI, they were just working on orders. Whether they were written down or just told or filtered down through the channels as the chart goes. But old Hussein's the one, ultimately, this does not, the Russia hoax does not get to the level it did without his knowledge or permission. Just doesn't happen. So hopefully we will get to as they say, the bottom of this. Let's take you back to the Leslie Stahl interview of Donald J.
Was when they spied on my campaign. They spied on my campaign.
Well, there's
Leslie.
no real evidence of that.
Of course there is.
No.
It's all over the place. Leslie,
Sir,
they spied on my campaign and they got caught.
Can I say something? You know, this is six.
Can I? There's Trump. They spied on my campaign and they got caught. Oh, yeah, there's no evidence. Did you evidence of that? There can't be. I don't want to believe it because so there is no evidence of it.
60 minutes, and we can't put on things we can't verify.
You won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't put on things we can't verify.
Leslie, they spied.
We can't put on things we can't verify. We had verified. Now there's the 9,000th time it's been verified. Leslie, shut up. Quit acting like a C. Trump's telling you, told you, we've all told you, we knew it. You knew it. I'm not going to believe anywhere that you didn't know that whole thing was cooked up and you knew who did it. You knew Hussein was behind this.
Spied on my campaign.
Well, we can't verify
It's been totally verified.
No.
It's been, just go down and get the papers. They spied on my campaign, they got caught.
No.
And then they went much further than that, and they got caught. And you will see that, Leslie, was when...
And you will see. And now are you seeing it, Leslie? Those of you who didn't believe... When Joe Scarborough is saying, hey, you know, this could have come out because he didn't want the backlash to come in here. Colbert's getting fired. You know, all the PMS NBCs had to take a pay cut up the kazoo. I'm sure, including Joe and Mika. So it's, let's say, a wonderful day in the neighborhood. When Donald J. was proven to be right again. And all of us that were putting that out. I said that from the beginning. That was 1,000. There was no way that any of that got approved. Now, I'm sure Hussein didn't know all the details, but he's the only one who could sign off on something as blatantly illegal, unethical, downright dirty, rotten political tricks that have ever been pulled. Again, you're not using all of the force, law enforcement, political pull and power of the United States government, which at the time were under the controls of Hussein. And that's the only difference between being a tin-horn dictator and having your freedom and liberty, right there. When Trump was saying, and a lot of us have said, and Trump said it in the 24 campaign, this is the choice. If you don't elect me, if you elect the ding-dong, the US of A, as you know it, is over. And I think the revelations that are coming out now and in the future solely indicate that that was right. Trump was right when he backed up. And that's what's a great thing about Trump, is he doesn't back up. He doesn't say, oh, please don't hurt me. Or he doesn't mealy. You don't see Trump mealy mouth like a little Jamie Raskin. I mean, you may not like it. I don't like everything Trump says. I was definitely not red hot about the way he was handling the whole Epstein thing. I think he's finally recovering on that. Or at least starting to turn the wheels in the right direction. Great news, Robert Kennedy Jr. telling the World Health Organization, stick it in your ass. We're not going to be part of any scamdemics, scaredemics. Make people, scare them half to death so they'll take the clot shot. We're not doing that. US of A is pulled out of that. We're not signing on to your stupid accords and your protocols that are against the United States of America and its people. We're not causing that havoc anymore. And again, there's another one. A lot of things I don't agree with from Bobby Jr. Yeah, he's terrible in economics. But on the health stuff and this, he's 111% on point. Just like Tulsi Gabbard is 100% with this releasing the whole Russiagate files, or most of them. That's what we voted for. And that's what we expected, and we're getting it. The price of eggs down, inflation almost nothing, real wage growth. Nobody screwing with the United States of America, whether it be trade or immigration or anything else. It's giving, again, it's been 4 years since we've been able to focus on positives like this.
30 seconds, Roy.
Let's not waller in the maybe temporary setbacks or defeats. Keep your eye on the prize, on the ball, because I still think we're way on the right track. Statistics prove it. You can feel it in your bones and your guts.
Here we go, 10 seconds.
And we're going to do it. PatriotSwitch.com.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMED, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the aforementioned today and banjo and your vast video audience in the Evil FB Network, Rumble, X, YouTube, and the Roy Bluckert channel. A lot of good things happening. Even though in the MAGA Trump world, last week or so was a little bumpy. We're finally getting it on track. Let's get the Epstein documents out. We had the Russiagate documents dumped by the great Tulsi Gabbard. Illegals are getting cleaned out. The 20, 30, I'm going to say 20 million. Let's split the difference. The government says 10, high estimates are 30. Let's split the difference. 5 million a year for 4 years, Joe Biden is. Those are non-negotiable. 0. You came in after January 20th, 2021, illegally or unlawfully, and you're going back. You can either self-deport and have a chance to come back. But if we got to run you down, you're not ever coming back. And if we do catch you back here, you're really not going to like it. Let's run some more of the Bill Malusian report of the Sacramento deal, where they were scattering. And again, if you're here legally and lawfully, there's no reason to be afraid of any law enforcement officer in the United States. There's always some bad apples, a cop, ICE agent. If you don't just take off running or hiding or something, you probably won't wind up looking like this guy. I don't care if you're speeding down the road or whatever.
His face took him into custody and took him away. His wife was yelling at agents the whole time, saying he's a U.S. citizen. The agent said, too bad, he slashed one of our tires. And then take a look at these photos here. We do have photos of the vehicle that had the tire slashed. There was one puncture mark. It quickly deflated, and the agents had to drive out of the area on their rims. We caught up with the Border Patrol chief out here in charge of this operation, and we asked him, why did you decide to come here to Sacramento? Here's what he had to say.
There is no sanctuary city. Sacramento is not a sanctuary city. The state of California is not a sanctuary state. There is no sanctuary anywhere. We'll be here. You'll probably see us in many other locations as well. We're here to stay. We're not going anywhere. We're going to effect this mission and secure the homeland.
10-4. Again, let's focus on the positives. The United States of America is not a sanctuary country, and California is part of the U.S. of A. So these guys have every right. In fact, it's their job. Not only right, it's their responsibility to enforce the immigration law of the United States of America. I don't care if you're in Wichita, Kansas, Enid, Oklahoma, the Hamptons in Connecticut, or wherever it is, Naples, Florida, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Billings, Montana. They have the right to go anywhere and enforce. They are allowed to arrest anybody under federal charges under their jurisdiction. Period. End of freaking story. And again, like the dude that was allegedly slashing the tires or whatever. If he's a U.S. citizen, when the cops say halt, you halt. Heck, I was probably 30 years ago, 40, might have been 40 years ago, hell. All of a sudden, I'm driving down the road in my truck. Here comes, you see the red lights way back there. Think, okay, look down, I'm not, maybe I'm doing 45 and a 40, and I don't think he's coming after me for that. But you just automatically get back up to 40 mile an hour, and here he comes right on top of me. I mean, over, gun drawn, get out of the car, the whole thing. Happened to be there was a domestic violence deal, and some guy beat the hell out of his wife or girlfriend or something. And right in that same area, and was driving a truck similar to mine, same description. So he thought, hey, this is it. And of course, I was, dragged out, detained, all the whole thing, yada, yada, yada. Probably 4 or 5 minutes till he determined I wasn't the guy. And away he went. But you're being continued. But if I'd have seen the red lights and him come up, and I'd have hit the gas, and we're going to run on a chase scene, and we're going to do that, especially with that kind of description of a domestic violence case, and I think the guy had weapons or something, or I don't know. The dude was nervous when he came up there, I can guarantee you. When they would have caught up to me, they'd have beat the living crap out of me. Especially back in that day. So don't cry me the crocodile freaking tears. And that's just part of, somebody's going to get misidentified, or it's not the one, or it looks close and they're not taking. What, do you want cops to not do anything? Then we can just fire them all. They don't know. He didn't know I wasn't the guy, but I was driving a vehicle that matched the description. Make and model, paint and everything. He said, yeah, you same color, same type, everything, yada, yada, yada. Well, hey, this is the way it goes. I understand you're doing your job, and the way he went, and the way I went, and we lived happily ever after, I guess. So again, if you're here legally and lawfully, there's no reason to be running like crazy, or if the cops, law enforcement officer, ICE agents say stop, halt. They have every right. We employ them to do that. They can detain you at any time. They have 24/7, 365 authority to detain you. Probable cause for a reasonable amount of time, and the whole thing. We can go through the law. But if you're running like cockroaches, when they show up, they're thinking, oh, holy Christ, what's going on? They don't know. They don't know if there's weapons and you guys got weapons, or what's going on. With the firecrackers and the alleged gun down here in LA and the whole thing, they have no idea. And they want to go home to their families. They're not looking to be, they're not martyrs looking to get killed at doing this stuff. So again, let's indicate and focus on what's going right in our country. Let's be proud we have our former Inland Empire Assemblyman, former Deputy DA and U.S. District Attorney, now the head of the Central and Southern California U.S. Attorney, Bill Asaley, on the job, running this. Here he is on with Laura Ingram.
How did your office discover that this was a scam? So, Laura, this was all over the local media here, this whole hoax. They had a press conference, and the media, extremely reckless here locally, just repeating this stuff without doing any vetting or checking it, saying she was abducted and kidnapped from a Jack-in-the-Box. We knew she was not in our custody, and our agents were concerned that she was actually kidnapped. So we launched an investigation to make sure she was safe. They worked over the holiday, over the 4th of July break. I got calls about this. And we got surveillance video, we investigated, we found out the whole thing was a hoax. She wasn't anywhere near the border, she was up in Bakersfield, and the whole thing was an elaborate conspiracy.
How did your office decide?
A whole conspiracy, a hoax. Just like when Trump said, it's a hoax. Russiagate. Now we're getting the documents. Yes, it is. All this stuff like this, reporting this and media trying to blow it up of, oh, you know, the ICE agents are out there they're just snatching people off the street, running the Churla line, which is paid for, which has been paid for by us. At least the feds cut off the money, $3 million. But Hussein Newsom is, along with his buddy Hussein Obama, over here giving him $34 million to promote crap like this and buying off the media and everything else, like they did with COVID. Again, we have positives to be focusing on. Let's not snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. There's going to be bumps in the road. Everything's not going to work 100% perfect. It never does. But vaya caramba. Man, we're finally, after 6 months, after 4 years of darkness, we're finally seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. You know, they cut the $4 billion off for the stupid train. Trump did. You know, just from what, like Tom McClintock pointed out, just from what they spent for a third of a mile of bridge for the stupid train, the failed rail. A third of a mile of bridge. We could have had 200 miles, even at the inflated cost of what it costs to build freeway miles in California. Highest in the nation. I'm sure you're shocked about that. 200 miles. But we don't. No, there's no traffic problems in California. Heavens, no. I mean, hell, you can leave here in Moval 60 miles to downtown LA and be there in less than an hour. Sure. Maybe at 2 o'clock in the morning, but that might be dicey. So there's a lot of positives going on, but for us in California, and we started out, we played a little bit of the clip from Lindsay Snyder at the beginning of the show when we're on the net, for those of you on KMET. So go check it out. Lindsay Snyder, like I said, most of you probably doesn't. Who? She's the sole heir of the In-N-Out Burger franchise. Well, I don't know. I guess they own them all. Harry Snyder and another guy started that down there around Baldwin Park. The other guy, they had 6 of them. They split them up. Harry kept the In-N-Out franchise. His 2 sons died early, and Lindsay was the only granddaughter, and she inherited the whole ball of wax. So I don't know if they've sold pieces up, but if she's not sole owner, she's very majority owner of In-N-Out Burger. She's a billionaire. She could live anywhere in the world. She's moving to Franklin, Tennessee, where they moved the In-N-Out Burger headquarters are no longer. The iconic California hamburger stand, their headquarters are now in Franklin, Tennessee, which is where Darrell Waltrip, if you're into racing, you know where that is. But anyway, and she said in the beginning, because I don't want to raise my family in California, and it's excruciating painful to do business in California. We're going to replay that clip before we get to the NBC News story of people bailing on California. Here's Lindsay Schneider, billionaire heiress of the In-N-Out Burger fortune.
And we're building an office in Franklin. So I'm actually moving out there. And
Wow. How do you feel about that? You're like a California girl through and through, right?
Yeah. I mean, I really loved living in Northern California. And I'm so thankful that I grew up there because I think it changed a lot of who I am today. You know, I think I would be different if I was raised in Southern California. But there, like you said, there's a lot of great things about California, but raising a family is not easy here.
Is not easy here? Anybody can tell you, especially those in the retarded half of the population. When you hear that voice and in that tone, they are so pissed off that she probably wouldn't come back here if you said, Lindsay, we're going to make you 100 billionaires. When you get that lower tone and them California, and when you get that slower tone, they are extremely pissed off.
Doing business is not easy here. Now, the bulk of our stores are still going to be here in California, but it will be wonderful having an office out there, growing out there.
Totally.
And being able to have the family and other people's families out there. And so in that, it's two-part. We'll have everybody under one roof here in Baldwin Park, and we'll close our fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a...
Again, when you see the eye roll up, she's done with California, and for good reason. You cannot do business in this state. It is next to impossible. This is about as communistic dictator, tin-horn dictatorship as you're ever going to see. There's another one. They're going to keep the hamburger stands here. Yeah, they're going to keep taking our money. Now it's going to, all that In-N-Out, all the profits and everything from In-N-Out, all the good jobs, all the highest paying jobs, all the executive jobs are going to be in Franklin, frickin' Tennessee, not Baldwin Park, California. Because we built 1/3 of a mile of bridge for the failed rail instead of 200 miles of new freeway so people could actually get to work at In-N-Out Burger and everywhere else without it taking 10 times longer than it should. Educating stupid kids that you can't get employees makes it very difficult to have employees that are ready to come to work or have the work ethic to get there and everything else. Here's the NBC4 Bay Area report. People are still leaving California by the droves.
They are packing up their U-Hauls and they are saying bye-bye. Once again, a new study is showing that more people are moving out of California than actually moving in. We want to bring our business and tech reporter, Scott Budman, in. Scott, we've been saying this for the last couple of years.
Well, it's actually 5 years in a row, Jessica, that more people have been using their U-Hauls to go than to come in. But the numbers are not that big. In fact, not as big this year as in previous years, but 5 years in a row is consistent. It's given our high cost of living. Experts say expect that number to continue.
Yeah.
Experts say expect that number to continue. Well, you know, we had a bump in the road, but still, we were down for the count, and they see it. California's going to be declining population. And we're going to have less political power in Washington, D.C. They say if they pull this off with getting the census, where for redistricting purposes, you're only counting legal citizens for drawing redistricts, California's going to lose 5 seats. We lost 1. We should have lost 2. We had to gerrymander the numbers. When someone like Lindsay Snyder, like I said, could make any choice she wants, live anywhere she wants, you know, California built In-N-Out Burger. And she can't stand it here anymore. Again, that speaks so many volumes. It's, I guess, beyond description. You know, you can see a tech company guy or a Bezos or even a Musk who really doesn't have any connection. You know, roots or whatever. But In-N-Out Burger and the Snyder family are about as California as you could get. And they're done with it. Harupa Valley has a new canine top dog going in that you see in the motorcycle deal. So good job there for motor hiding in Motor Deputy Packer's saddlebag. So we want to keep on the positive parts. Husband and wife sentenced for conspiracy of stealing $1 million in pandemic funds. They were from Moval. Could have guessed. If you got bulky items to dispose of in Harupa Valley, you can do so at Patriot High School coming soon. K9 Duke from the MPD is having a birthday, so happy birthday, K9 Duke. So this was on the sheriff's. Paris Sheriff's Station. Multiple arrests in the retail theft operation. Great job. Finally, again, more positives. They're starting to arrest these crooks and thieves who have been ghetto shopping. And it can't come fast enough. San Bernardino Police Department is going to have Coffee with a Cop on the 3rd Tuesday of every month at various locations. So we will report on that when they come in. City of Chino is making significant progress on a cargo theft investigation of over 150 grand worth of stolen computer monitors. Arrests have been made. Big weapons bust down in the South Temecula Valley. Oh, and 20 people were arrested in a pimping operation down in Lake Elsinore. Temporary closure of the Rancho Cucamonga Department of Motor Vehicles for remodeling, so hopefully they'll be more efficient when they come back. And I'm not going to make any DMV jokes. Carfentanil, 100 times stronger than fentanyl, claims its first Riverside County victim. So now they got something that's stronger. Rum sauce in Riverside, yes. So we put a picture up. That's the old Sages Market, which is there at Magnolia, or close to Magnolia Center, right by the plaza, which is long gone. Sprint car, stock car, and factory stocks will be racing Saturday night at Paris Auto Speedway. So if you got nothing to do, or even if you do, check them out. Again, the 3 deputies that died in that explosion at their training center down there. Condolences to the family. Yes, we're getting the documents freed up all across the board. Thank you, Donald J. Let's keep the positive going. Marietta Jaguar trafficking case finally closes after years after the fact. Semi-truck collision leaves 1 dead in Riverside County. Riverside County health officials confirm the first fatal overdose of opioid used as an animal tranquilizer. Rancho Cucamonga cops bust a dude who's taking a pipe, again, to break into businesses. Good job, Rancho C. Emmett cops rescuing goats. Hey, you never know what your job's going to entail. As we go, Fontana motorist is a victim of the surging crime of bank jugging. I got to figure out what that one is because I don't recall ever hearing of that one, but there's a new one we got to investigate on this Faster Than You Friday. Do something fun this weekend. Accentuate the positive. Hello for today. We usually say at this time, mandatory, you're back here 23 hours live. You're the best darn show in the whole wide world. Until then, see ya.
The proceeding was a
Bank jugging.
What the hell
is that?
Yeah, I got it. Now that I saw that, I got to figure out what the heck that is.
Interesting.
Now you got something to do too.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Never heard of it.
No, I didn't. Yeah, it must be a new twist. If nothing else, find out so you're not a victim of it.
Yeah, oh God, who knows what the hell it is? You know what I mean? Jeez.
It's got a neat name. I will give him that.
All right, Roy. Well, have a good weekend or try
You got
to.
it. We'll see you Monday.
Bye now.